Hello and welcome to this week's episode of Capital City News. As we continue to celebrate Women's History Month, it's important to honor the women of our past as well as our present. There are many contributions women make in our community and around the world, especially right here in Salt Lake City. Take, for example, this Women 2020 mural by Jan Hayward, a local artist who captured more than 250 women and their stories. It's on display here in downtown on 100 South. Come and check it out. On this week's episode, we hear from Salt Lake City Council member Ana Valdemoros, who reflects on the women's rights to vote and her journey as a political leader. And our History Minute is about Olive Woolley Burt, teacher, journalist, and author who elevated women's history in her day-to-day work. Let's get started with our legislative update and look back.
At its March 16th meeting, the City Council received an update on federal funding that will help the city with pandemic-related issues, received informational updates on homelessness, affordable housing, gentrification, and racial equity in policing. They were briefed on potential changes to the city budget and held 6 public hearings and took action on a number of items. To learn more, visit slc.gov/council.
COVID-19 vaccinations are underway throughout Utah. Here in Salt Lake County, there's a phased approach for vaccinations based on age and eligibility. Information on who can get vaccinated and when is changing regularly. Starting this week, all Utahns over the age of 16 are eligible to sign up for a vaccine appointment. To stay informed, visit the Salt Lake County Health Department at slco.org/health or visit the state at coronavirus.utah.gov. Attention Salt Lake City businesses, the city's largest Funding Our Future voter-approved bond project, 300 West, will begin construction this spring. The project team is hosting a workshop for businesses along the corridor on April 6th. Attendees will learn more about when the project will begin, what the impacts are, the process to resolve problems, and how to get in contact with the team. If you are a business that wants to register for the workshop, please call 385-360-1313 or email saltlakecitycoms@gmail.com. To learn more, visit 300westslc.com. As we celebrate her story this Women's History Month, we sit down with Salt Lake City Council member Ana Valdemoros as she reflects back on her journey as a political and business leader within the community. She also talks about paving the way for the next generation. This month is Women's History Month. And here in Salt Lake City, we're not only just celebrating women in history, but we're also celebrating women in politics. And Sarah Young was one of the first women here in the nation to cast her ballot and to vote. And it happened to be right here in Utah. And as a woman in political office, take a moment to just reflect a little bit on the first woman to vote and what does the right to vote mean to you?
How amazing that was able to happen, and also how tragic that we are celebrating something so essential as the right to vote, as to have the same rights as men have. So I am very thankful for the work and for the energy women before me, and especially Sarah Young, put at the time, and fought. I'm guessing like nail and teeth, right? Or nail and tooth, fight for something so essential to involve women in the political process, in democracy, and really have our voices heard. And obviously, without her, a lot of women in politics and me wouldn't even be here. So. I'm extremely grateful for all that work that somebody else did before me, so I could have this opportunity.
Now, looking even deeper, here at your story, you're the first woman of color to serve on the city council. How has your journey been like, and how did you get here?
Well, first of all, I'm an immigrant, right? And so not only I'm amazed that I was elected, because of these layers that we have as immigrants, like these layers or barriers that we have to cross. And I'm extremely grateful that Salt Lake City, especially the District 4 voters, gave me a chance. And basically, I think looking back, it's because of the community involvement, because of the well-known showing up and really trying to do your best to help your community. And I think people valued that. People were able to see that it doesn't matter what accent or what color or what gender. I mean, somebody is generally interested in helping the community. So the way I got involved was coming to the US, to go to the EU. I got a planning degree, and I was given the chance by another woman at Salt Lake City to be an intern in the Salt Lake City Planning Division / Community Development at the time. And I had a mentor there, and then I became friends with another mentor. She's my lifelong friend. We share this friend, you and I, Puna, very closely. And this is Meredith Lewis, another woman of color from the East Coast. She really took me under her wing. We were sitting next to each other, but she really helped me understand, how our job was working, the things that were needed to be fixed in terms of equity, and then how to navigate the system. And that way, she's been my mentor, and then I've gotten other mentors as well after her when I moved on to NeighborWorks, another woman of color that took me under her wing and also taught me at other world of how to build communities and be involved. And so I really attribute, my path to at least 3 or 4 women in my life that encouraged me, that believed in me. And as I was building the businesses, as I was a city planner, as I was really involved, I was able to, to tell my story to District 4 voters and tell them, hey, I am a planner. I know what you're going through, and I think I have the desire and hopefully the power to change certain things for our district.
And Councilmember Valdemoros, just in closing now, if individuals want to stay connected with you, learn more about what you're doing, what you're up to with the city council, and just things happening out, in the business realm here in Salt Lake City, how can they stay connected? What's the best way to stay connected?
The best way to stay connected, well, if you want to, if you would like to meet with me, or if you'd like to talk about politics or some business or policies as council member, you can reach me at Ana.Valdemoros at slcgov.com. I'm happy to meet. Obviously, we're meeting not in person, but through WebEx. And I'm happy to set up a half an hour, call or WebEx meeting, and we can talk about anything related to city. You can find me, at Square Kitchen. You can find me at the Empanada Shop, squarekitchenslc.com, or Argentina's Best slc.com. And that's how you can reach me for the business portion of it.
And now we go back in time for our History Minute.
Born in 1894, Olive Woolley published her first poem in the San Francisco Examiner in 1905 at the age of 9 years old. By 1913, she was teaching elementary school, and by 1918, she'd received her degree from the University of Utah. And in 1922, she married a fellow teacher. In 1927, though, Olive Woolley Burt's career took a turn. She took a job as the children's editor of the Salt Lake Tribune and kept that post until 1945, when she moved to the Deseret News, where she remained until her retirement in 1967. During that time and through the rest of her life, Burt became a prolific and famous writer. She wrote over 50 books for children and adults, though the most notable might be American Murder Ballads and Their Stories in 1958. It won a special Edgar Award in 1959. She was also the founding president of the League of Utah Writers, a group dedicated to promoting writing as a hobby and profession in the state of Utah. She worked tirelessly to help and inspire all of the writers of Utah for almost 50 years. She was particularly fond of writing children's books that illuminated stories of possibility to children with an aggressively progressive bent. One book, First Woman Editor Sarah J. Hale, tells the story of the first woman in the United States to be the editor of a magazine. Another, Black Women of Valor, brought positive stories of black history to white children who wouldn't otherwise hear them in times where racist attitudes ran rampant. Olive Woolley Burt passed away in 1981, writing to the very end, a staple of the Salt Lake City writing community.
Thanks for joining us for another episode of Capital City News. We hope you continue to celebrate Women's History Month, not only throughout the month, but throughout the year. Thank you for joining us. Tune in next time to stay up to date on all the latest. For SLC TV, I'm Poonam Kumar.